Hello everyone, I'm Allison. For those who are new here, welcome. For those who are returning, welcome back. Today I'm telling you all about how I confronted my narcissistic mother. Not necessarily the details, but why I felt it was important to do so, the boundaries that I have in place when communicating with my mom, and what I did to prepare and what I did afterwards. But all in all, I want to say that right now, even though I did confront my mom and it did not go well as anticipated, I have no experience or sensation of anxiety in my body right now. And as someone who experienced general anxiety for years and years and years, that is a massive achievement. It's really cool seeing that a conversation that usually would have filled me with a lot of unpleasant sensations and experiences and thoughts now was actually a step I could take that I felt was important and a release of anxiety that was within me. And it ended as such, like me feeling like, okay, I did what I could and I'm fine now. You know, it's just a really big transformation that's taken place, and so I want to share with you guys kind of why that's possible if I can express it clearly. So that's what we're doing today. But I want to, I guess, disclaim that I don't think that confronting a narcissistic parent is necessarily the best thing to do all the time. There's so many unique situations out there. A lot of people on the internet here say that my mom must not be as bad as their parents, or I must be just insane for going about my situations how I do. And everyone has the right to their own opinion. You know, I'm not narcissistic. I allow you all to think what you think and believe what you believe, and you guys view my situation based on how your situation is in your life. That's fair. I don't think any of that is necessarily true, though. I think that just in general, we all have really unique things at play, and family dynamic is super duper complicated. And so I just want you to ask. I want to ask you to please respect me. I'm sharing what I can. I hope that some of it helps and you can relate to some of it at least, because it feels really lonely sometimes having a parent like this. And yeah, just please leave all your shade on another video or inside, okay? Because I'm just doing what I can here because I think it's important. It's going to help somebody. So okay, man, that deep breath feels so good. Everybody, if you don't have a glass of water with you already, what are you doing? Have a glass of water with you at all times. Usually I have a reusable cup, and then whenever it empties, refill it, okay? But if you don't have a glass of water with you already, go on and get one and drink a nice hydrating cup of water while you watch this today, okay? I dare you. Please do it. Why not? If you're still sitting on your bum, I hope that there's a cup of water in your hand already, okay? Take a sip. Ready? And now I am ready to begin. Okay, so this all came to happen because last week I received some news that someone in my family wanted to do something but couldn't because of my narcissistic mother, who is kind of, you know, in the hot seat in this video, doesn't have a good look in this video. I have a lot of compassion for her and I don't feel great, you know, saying this stuff on the internet, but I have so many reasons to believe what I believe about her, so many past experiences, and reasons to not be on her side and rather be on this person's side in the situation at play. So that's how this all came to be. This person told me that they were upset, and I really felt for them, and they asked me to not get involved. But I said, may I? Would it upset you if I did? I want to be respectful of others' wishes, but I also want to speak up, you know, if I have the desire to. And so in that situation I did speak up and say, well, I actually would like to. Is that okay? And they said, well, I don't think it's a good idea, but if you want to, that's fine. And so I moved forward having this conversation with my mom. And during that conversation, she blatantly said that things that I was saying were taken from their mouth. And I said, don't put my words in someone else's mouth or say that I took them from someone else's mouth. I am an individual. I have the right to my own opinion and thoughts, and that's what I'm sharing with you today. It has nothing to do with anybody else. And so I guess that's tip number one, is if you're having a conversation with a narcissist, be prepared to say exactly what I said. That this is your individual belief and words and thoughts that you're saying, not from someone else. So I guess moving into the next tip, one reason why I am where I am with my mom is because I have nothing on my personal end that's attached or dependent on her or to her, with her. I don't rely on her for anything. So other people who do either rely on her or support her in some way and are attached to her through, very tangible means, that's not a great place to be in. And I just fully encourage you to cut those tangible ties. If you rely on a narcissistic parent for anything financial, number one thing to do is get financial independence. And I know that that is complicated in some cases, but being honest, I don't care. Like, this is absolutely fundamental, foundational. My cat is just staring at me. He's like, who are you talking to? It's really important. So make it happen, okay? Also because I can't imagine having a confrontation that involves me and my desires and someone personally invalidating things that are important to me, like in my needs, in my right to have needs. That is why I went no contact in the first place, because that being challenged within myself is just too much. So this all kind of segues into my next point, which is boundaries. Everybody needs boundaries. Most people have boundaries. Narcissists don't. They don't see anyone else as separate from them. If you don't agree with them, you're ultimately challenging their identity. You are a challenge and a threat to their identity. It's not gonna turn out well, like nearly ever, which I knew going into it, but it was important for me to do this. I'll explain that a little bit later on. But everybody needs boundaries. Most people have them, but everyone's are different is the thing. So I have boundaries on what I share online. I have boundaries with myself, I have boundaries with my friends, I have boundaries with my family. And I think that concerning other people, those boundaries are oftentimes dependent on how respectful the other person is of your setting boundaries. So with someone who is narcissistic, the boundaries have to be rock hard, because any wiggle room leaves room for them to wiggle beyond your boundaries. They don't respect you or your boundaries, and therefore they have to be rock hard, no leeway. So my boundaries with my mom, because she's not an overt, I'm better than everyone narcissist, but rather a covert, more reactive victim mentality narcissist, my boundaries involve whenever she's complaining, she thinks of herself as better and more important because her situation and her pains and troubles are more important than everyone else, and therefore she can exploit others to help resolve her own internal issues and stuff. No one else's problems matter if she's experiencing a problem. It's covert victim mentality. And so whenever she has anything to complain about, any troubles, I say, I'm not talking to you about that. Especially medical problems, because there's some Munchausen syndrome stuff going on there. I say, I'm not talking about that at all. Take that somewhere else. And I've had a lot of discussions with myself and with others about, is this enabling still? Do I need to go no contact to make a statement like, I see what you're doing and I don't agree with it, and so I'm not going to have a, relationship with you at all? But everyone's situation is unique. In my heart, following my own inner compass, I know that it feels best for me to have a relationship with her. And so with that relationship, I have this hard boundary where first of all, like, I don't rely on her at all, and she can't ask anything of me because I won't give that to her, and I won't support her, but also I won't participate in her covert victim mentality problem stuff that's going on. So those are my boundaries. And also I have a boundary where if I start to feel discomfort with her, if I'm ever talking to her or with her, I leave right away. And no contact was important for that because I needed to build the muscle of not feeling guilty for doing that. And I'm already like getting ready to segue into my next point, but those are the boundaries that I have with my mom. Boundaries with other people are largely much softer and more fluid, following my inner compass like more directly because they respect me, you know. And this kind of segues into my next point. In the last like 5 years since hitting rock bottom, I've been on this massive journey of self-discovery because I had this trauma self, this narcissistic flea, alcoholic flea self that I showed up as, but that wasn't me, and honestly I had no idea who I was. And it's because I have people in my life who are narcissistic and project their views of who I am and who they are onto me. And not only that, but they completely make things up. They make things up and tell me that I said different things, or that I believe things, or that I think of them in this way, and it's just completely false. And if you like blanket that dynamic onto my entire childhood, my growing up, my time of finding myself, I don't know, and like my being a Pisces and like an INFJ, it's like, especially me, I don't know, I don't think I'm too uniquely special, but like I just have personality traits in general that are like open-minded and fluid, and I reached rock bottom with absolutely no clue of who I was. That's what I'm trying to say. And so in confrontations with a narcissist, I was like, they would say things like, well, you said this, and I'm like, did I? But I don't think I meant it the way that you're saying. And they're like, but because of this and this and this, that's why I think that you did. And I'm like, oh, well, shoot. I see that. I see how you think I was this person. Like, am I? Oh, I think I might be. You know, it was so bad. And so now I can recognize when someone is planting a seed of something that I said or did in the past, or something that I believe that's bad. And I can recognize it as false and as theirs. And I can have this shield of personal like self and identity, authentic identity with integrity of good intention, good intent, and be like, no, that's not true. And back to the point, this is what's true for me, okay? You know what I'm saying? Following my inner compass. It's so much easier to do now that I know who I am, what I stand for, and who they are, and the fact that they stand for themselves. And I can have compassion for that. They don't do it in the kindest way at all. But I know that what they're doing is to meet a need. I think I'm getting a little off track here. Another thing is that no contact was really helpful in me building the muscle of enforcing boundaries. So I had to get to know myself to figure out like what my boundaries are, what worked, what didn't, how to protect myself. And then not feeling guilty when enforcing boundaries is a muscle that you gotta build. And it's easier when you're no contact because no one's challenging it directly. But in a confrontation, when on the spot someone is saying something false about you, enforcing that boundary can bring on a big wave of guilt. They can, you know, send that wave your way. They can do it purposefully, be like, you're enforcing this boundary? You know, not like that, like in self-awareness talk, because they don't have self-awareness. But, you know, they'll do that sort of thing. So no contact helped me not feel guilty for enforcing boundaries and for having my own, you know, self, my own opinions and perspective, and help me, you know, be able to stand up for them, which is, you know, all in all, why I was able to go in and confront my mom. Because I know my strength now. I know that I'm able to have this conversation with her. Even though I knew it wouldn't go well, it was important to me that I did. And you gotta follow your inner compass, you know? You can't take what I'm saying and apply it all to your life. Take what you need, leave the rest. Take what resonates, leave the rest for someone else who needs that part. And add in your own mix of what you've learned works and what doesn't. And share them below if you want to, because they may help me, they may help someone else. But it sounds really cheesy, you know, to follow your heart. But only you know what feels good and what feels bad. Everyone's boundaries are different. And it takes experimentation, but experiment and trust yourself when you have a discovery. Trust at that time, or you know, make a mistake again and then trust at that time. Maybe you'll have to learn the hard way, maybe you'll learn the easy way, but honestly I believe that you have everything it takes inside of you to know what to do. And you know if you're strong enough, and you know if you're not, and you know if you don't even want to be strong enough. You want to be strong enough for yourself to put all of your energy into other places, you know, not this relationship. But you know, when you bring in the whole family dynamic, sometimes there's people who are worth fighting for. But first, you gotta be strong enough for yourself. Wow, this is getting really deep. So, a couple things that I did prior to this confrontation is I wrote a list of reasons why I was upset and wanting to have this conversation with her and what I wanted to say to her. That was unfiltered. And then, the next day, because that was kind of draining, it can be so draining to get your thoughts together. Okay, I just want to say that. But then I wrote, but it's really important that you have your thoughts together. And then I wrote a letter that I actually did give her, and I made copies of things that I did want to say to her. And looking forward, I should have made a letter of things not to say to her. Because even though I fully believe them, and even though they're not tangible bits of evidence, they're more like emotional beliefs that were gathered through experiences over time, I should have left those out. So I would tell you to make a list of what not to say. Feel free to share those with other people who are grounded, especially if you don't have a lot of clarity on it. You know, give them like the word vomit situation out of your mind, blah, 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 and let them be like, oh, this is what is happening and what you should say. You know what I mean? And then that goes into my next point, which is, who do you trust to give you feedback? I have 4 people who I decided I trust with any situation that could come up. I want to be open with them and share it with them and get their feedback because I value it. They are good people themselves. They have healthy relationships. We have a healthy relationship in between us. It's not always perfect, but also they all inspire me in different ways, and they all care enough about me to understand. Because I mean, I as an individual, I'm obsessed with like psychology and this stuff, obviously. And so I tend to be friends with people who are at least a little interested in psychology and stuff. But for those who aren't necessarily friends with people who understand any of this, at least if they care enough about you, you know, and care about anyone else besides themselves enough in general, they will recognize when something is really important to you, even if they don't understand enough to understand well enough to give you feedback that you can actually take and run with, you know, and use and apply. So, and you don't have to is another thing. Like, know that ultimately, like, follow your inner compass. Sometimes they won't agree with your decisions and you'll make them anyways. That's fine too. So before going into this conversation with my mom, I told 4 different people, because this is a big deal to me. Like, for every situation in my life that I struggle with, I may go to like 1 of them or 2 of them, you know, but not all of them. This one, I told everything to, like this one person who I was already like having a conversation with, and I told some of it to this person, and then like I just told these 2 people, like, this is what happened. I have all these reasons why I want to confront my mom, but I'm not gonna, you know, get into all that with you. I want to let you know, like, that's what I'm doing. That's something that's up. I was just happy to have opened up about it because it's the same sort of deal with self-care. why having a practice of self-care is really important. Having connections with people and like actively working with them, connections are an active process, is important, because then if at one point you fumble and like, oh man, you really could use self-care, or you really could use someone to talk to, that relationship is churning, you know, it's on. It's not like now I have to pick up this whole self-care practice like when I'm already feeling low. Instead, it can be like something that you just can like tune into and recalibrate with. And same with connections, like opening that door before I even like went through it, I was able to like provide myself people to turn to if I needed to afterward, and I didn't really. So though that's how I prepared, is like really organizing my thoughts in an unfiltered and then filtered way, and then sharing it with other people, and I don't know, all these other things that were more long-term preparation than I shared with you prior to that like specific situation preparedness. And then afterward, I was just bawling. It's really hard to have a confrontation with someone who doesn't hear you when you're trying to say something that means a lot to you. It's very damaging to you as an individual. It's damaging to your relationship. It's damaging to, if you're not very aware, your perspective of people and relationships in the world as a whole. It makes you feel disconnected and unimportant and sad and angry. All of these terrible feelings. And so I was there. I was trying really hard to listen and then get a word in, and it not working, and that's why I brought a letter there, because like I knew that I wouldn't be able to get a word in likely, or it wouldn't be respected. And so at least, you know, I brought that, whatever. I tried really hard and learned a lot. I learned a lot, and ultimately I think it's all gonna be okay. But I released all of that emotion that was inside. I felt it right away. This is all kind of like intangible, but it's important, you know. I cried it out, and I was angry. I was like, God, why? And then I talked, I vented, and then I came home, and a couple of my sources of support, my boyfriend and my best friend Marizzle, she and him, they asked how to go. I said bad, and then I was like, I don't want to talk about it right now. I did talk about it. I did deal with it a little bit. Like, I actually had a present from Rizzle for her birthday. It was a belated present, and I gave that to her and talked to Eric about different stuff and just kind of moved on with my day. And then I read a book for like the rest of the day. Ooh, so that's another thing that I wanted to say. Now I'm talking really fast because I'm excited. Is that I saved this conversation for Sunday when I had nothing else going on. It sucks when something happens and you can't process it. You just have to keep going with life and like put on this face for the world like that you're fine. And so I saved it for a day when like I could just chill afterwards. So that's another tip for you guys, is if you're going to confront someone or do it, like make sure you have space around it to experience it fully without knowing that like afterwards you have to change. You have to do something, you know. You can't just be however you end up. So anyways, I left the whole day. I read a book, a novel that I'm really into right now, and that's all I did for the rest of the day. Actually, no, I took my kitties outside, both of them. Lucy's very first time exploring outside, and I'm getting a little bit off track now, but the story's coming to a close. The last thing that happened that day is this person who I confronted this other person with, on behalf of, not with, called and apologized for dragging me into it, because the narcissist has their claws in them and guilted them the way that they try to guilt me for, you know, me taking words out of their mouth, you know. And even though I clarified to them, I'm an individual, this is me talking to you, no one else, my opinions that I formed my friggin' self, because I'm a strong, resilient MF. This other person said, sorry for dragging you into it. And I said, you in no way dragged me into it. You asked me not to get involved, and I asked for permission to get involved, and then I did, completely voluntarily. I clarified that to her. I'm clarifying it to you again, because it's skin fuzzy in your mind, because that's what happens when you are completely like in the thick of things without all this awareness and healthy space and boundaries. I have complete detachment from my mom. No reliance, no support. Like, that's why I have this clarity. I just want to express that again. If you guys don't have it and you're making excuses for choosing to not change that, because I'm sorry. I know it's so complicated, gosh darn it. But you can choose to change. It's super uncomfortable, stepping out of your uncomfortable comfort zone, but it's necessary. Okay, look at it feels so good, guys. Come on, you gotta do it for yourself. Anyways, this person was intertwined with it and they apologized, and I reminded them this was my choice. I'm an individual, as are you. And you know what is great is this person is a good person, and they said, well, I appreciate that. I do. Thank you. I really, really appreciate that so much. And it was like, you're welcome. Like, you deserve it. You know, and to add a little bit more to the story that you guys don't really know too much about, I then gave them some words that it's 12/22, if y'all know how I feel about 12/22. Oh, just beautiful, beautiful synchronicity thing that's happening here. They will be taken care of. Okay, our family's gonna be taken care of. You're gonna be taken care of, alright? Just a little reminder, snippet, side note. I told them that this person takes advantage of you and your support of them. Your whole family has taken advantage of you, and that's kind of an opinion, but what's not an opinion, what's fact, is that you aren't appreciated. These people are very ungrateful for you, and it's so sad, and I'm sorry about that, but I appreciate you so much. I'm so grateful for you. I love you, and I'm here for you. I am going to take an active step onto your side of the situation because I support you. Like, you deserve it. You're in the right, you know? And giving that to a person who deserves it, who has never been appreciated, who's been abused by a narcissist for so long, it's, you know, special. And that's why I'm doing it. Not to give that gift to them, but it's the right thing to do, and I am so on board for it. Like, no question. So I do want to address something here real fast. It's, what now? Like, moving forward, after this confrontation that went terribly, like, what now? Well, I'm going to be on this person's side, not hers. And I also let her know that I can't let this go. I'm not letting this go. This means a lot to me because it involves someone's happiness who I care a lot about, and your lack of care for that happiness. And you're making excuses for that lack of care of another human being's life, you know, who is helping you, who's helped me for so long. That was a very long, drawn out way to say I don't intend on letting it go, and I don't intend on being in contact with her for some time. So on my video called Breaking No Contact, why I broke no contact, and other ones since, there was one comment in particular that triggered me because I see truth in it. That is, the things that trigger us most are things that we are worried are true about us, or, you know, that we adamantly stand against, and so we hate and despise in other people. But they involve us ultimately. What triggers us most have a reason. They point to our values. So what triggered me on that video, Breaking No Contact, was someone saying that I have flip-flop mentality that's unhealthy for them to watch. And I want to point that out to you myself. You know, that flaw of mine. But also advocate for myself, because no one else is going to do it. I mean, maybe you're going to do it for me. But advocate for the fact that we are all individuals on this rocky path that no one in the world, it seems, talks about. And if they talk about it, then they're kind of like not this emotional mess that we are somehow. You know, they seem to like know what they're talking about and like make their choices and then be fine with it. And it's like, okay, cool, that's awesome, but what about all this jumbled mess that's going on inside my head? I don't know, I don't understand. We, you and me, if you feel me, are on that journey, and we're like, what the heck? And all we can do is follow our inner compass again. And my inner compass has led me into directions that have made me content at different times in my life with different decisions. And so while it seems I'm flip-flopping, you could say I am. I hope that you guys see a deeper picture at play, at me honoring my heart and what I know to be best for me right now, for reasons that are beyond what I can share with you on the internet. And I, in return, want to give you the validation that even if you change your mind from what was best for you yesterday to what's best for you today, whether that be like holding yourself accountable, or today like giving yourself compassion for not being perfect, follow your heart, and I support you. I support you doing that. So yeah, I feel good, guys. I feel good. I don't have anxiety right now, and that's like my biggest thing that I have struggled with, is this feeling like I can't breathe deep breaths, like I have this weight on my shoulders, like there's this responsibility and everything is unmanageable, and like, everything is bad. Everything that I'm doing in my life right now feels so guided and right, and even if it's not perfect, like I don't know, it feels good. And I know that's because I'm in alignment, in integrity with what I am all about, you know? And that's different for me than it is for you. And so follow your heart. Follow your heart. And that's it. That's all I have to say. I hope this video was helpful. If you guys did find it helpful and have the tangible resources to do so, you can buy me coffee down below, or in other intangible ways, support through giving this video a thumbs up, hitting subscribe. I know there's people out there who are watching and not subscribed and are gonna be like, well, I'm not gonna subscribe. Please subscribe, please. It takes no effort on your part, and it is helpful for me reaching other people who could benefit from this video. So thank you. Comment below also. I read all of the comments. I love you all so much and love hearing from you. And if you're just a silent supporter, that's cool too. Thank you for being here and sharing your time with me, supporting me through your energy that I swear I can feel. I so appreciate you guys. I really, really do. I appreciate you, not you guys, you who's watching right now. Thank you. Okay. Intention for the rest of the day, take more deep breaths. And until next time,